Hi, my name is Carl. I'm going to be interviewing you today. A few short questions to get started off with. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I am a college student right now and I work full time. I would describe myself as being very organized. I like to have a schedule and get things done on time. And I guess I am good at time management because my job right now, I work with animals and I have to get so many done, groomed in a certain amount of time. So I guess I go above and beyond in time management as well.
How would your present boss slash coworkers or subordinates describe you?
A busybody. I'm always moving, always doing things, and I usually go above and beyond just to do. I do the jobs that other people should do when I have extra time, and I'll stay late to do tasks when they're not done, just to make sure that the company is doing a good job, as well as me showing that I am worth what I'm doing.
What things are most important to you in a job, manager and or company?
I guess in a job that it is reliable, it has good pay, good benefits, things like that. In a manager, I want them to be organized and be on top of things, not tell me the day before, as well as being helpful and being a little personable and building relationships with their employees, I think is really important too, so you don't feel like they're just there to scare you.
Why should we hire you?
Well, like I said, I have a lot of drive, so when I get into something, I usually don't stop and I always reach my goals because that's really important to me, and I think that I have the best qualities you could look for in an employee because like I said, I'm organized, I have time management, and I would do my best to fulfill anything that you needed done.
How do you deal with conflict?
When there's a conflict, usually I step back and I think about what the root of the issue is before I react, and I don't let my emotions get in the way. I think of the pure facts of the situation and then kind of go from there. And I will ask if I need to, I will ask, a manager, what should I do about this? Because a lot of the times they're the person that can deal with a lot of conflict.
How well do you deal with stress?
My job is really stressful and it has helped me learn a lot with dealing with stress. So I'd say I'm pretty good at dealing with stress because I face it on a day-to-day basis. Pretty much just like the same thing. I step back and think about why I'm stressed and think about how I can solve it. And I try to solve it very quickly because if you don't, it just kind of piles on top of each other.
Give me an example of a difficult decision you've had to make. What made it difficult and what was the outcome?
A difficult decision. Well, I guess my most difficult decision right now was deciding if I wanted to work full-time and go to school full-time because it's quite the load, and how I dealt with it. That was a question, right? Yeah. I have a planner and I make sure I write down every little thing that I need done. And make sure I'm communicating with both work and school, making sure that I'm getting, if there's a big exam coming up, make sure I have enough time off that I can kind of deal with it and study and make sure I do good in both. And making sure that if I have a question, I email my professors or vice versa, I guess, job too. That kind of relates to it.
Tell me about an occasion where you needed to work with a group of people to get the job done.
I do this both in school and work, I guess. An example of this was last year in my Intro to HR class. We had a group project where we each kind of had a part of a PowerPoint that we had to make, and usually I'm not very good at dealing with teams because I just want things to be done the right way, but this was part of our grade to let everybody kind of do their own thing. So we would just make a group chat and make sure that everybody was getting things done by certain deadlines so that the project could keep moving. And just making sure we're constantly communicating with each other, having shared documents so that everybody knows what's going on and everybody knows the project as a whole, not just their own part.
Tell me about a time when you've been overloaded with work. How did you go about prioritizing your tasks?
Usually I don't like to get to that point. That's why I plan everything out. So if I have a lot on one day, I will do it, the day before. But I guess when I first started online schooling and work together, the first day I had a bunch of assignments due. I think it was like all my classes had at least something due, and I worked a full 8 hours that day, and I didn't get home till 6. And I guess before that day came, I did some of my work beforehand, and then as soon as I got home, I had a schedule set out of what I was going to do when and how long it would take, and that's kind of how I dealt with it. I just made sure I had it scheduled into my day and that I could get it done the right way.
Give me an example of a high pressure situation you faced in the last 6 months. How well did you handle it?
So as soon as I started grooming at this job, it was pretty high pressure because, dogs are always moving, and if they move at a certain time, you could hurt them or cut them. And so I had to make sure that I was, being efficient with my time and also doing a very good job. How I handled it was just making sure that I was paying attention to every little detail that I was doing, how I was holding my tools, how the dog was moving, making sure I knew that they were not stressed out or anything like that, or getting too excited. So pretty much just making sure you're aware of everything that is happening at that moment.